Okay, so we are going to talk about the infrastructure um, goal, and Doug will not be able to join us. He had something come up, and I don't think Eric will be joining us. His official last day was Friday. He's still doing stuff for us, but I know that during the day is going to be difficult for him. So I have the information that we're going to be looking at here, and I'm going to try and figure out which screen I need to put it on in order to share it with you guys. Sorry, I've gotten so used to doing this at home that now I don't know what I'm doing when I'm here in the office.
Sarah, can you share on your screen the version with Doug's comments? Because he has a lot of crossouts.
Yes, that's actually exactly what I was going to try to share, and I don't know if you guys are seeing this or not.
Yes,
Yeah, we are.
Okay, all right, so now I know which screen it's sharing on, not the one I thought. Okay, so what you see now is the one that Doug hand wrote his comments on. And that's why I wanted to share this one, because then we have his comments with us, even if he's not here. And I just watched the video from the Planning and Public Works meeting that was on the 8th, and they looked at this that day. So I kind of have in mind what they were talking about as we go through this too. I wonder if I turn this up, if that helps you guys hear me. Are you still able to hear me if I let go?
Yep.
Sorta. All right. Well,
Yeah, that's better.
Hold it and write my notes at the same time. Since Eric's not going to be here, I have to write the notes that he would have been taking. So just bear with me on this. Okay. So I hope some of you had a chance to take a look at this before we talk today. So if anyone had any comments on the infrastructure goal as it's written here, go for it.
I just want to make a comment about the goal, offering water and sewer services in areas of town identified for continued residential, commercial, and industrial growth. So this is just my comment, and it's just because I have done several water projects in a third world country, and we have a cottage on the Erie Canal, which is in New York State in Ontario County, that does not have potable water. And in my opinion, no one who lives in the United States of America should not have potable water. That's a double negative. Everyone should have potable water. And sometimes there are problems in areas of the town where they have well water, and that's evidenced by the number of people. If you sit by the A's Diner in Cheshire on a Friday or Saturday night, it's truck after truck with water barrels going down to load up with water. So there are people in our town who do not have potable water. So I understand where this is coming from. I just want to express my displeasure with it, that potable water is life. And this is what I hear. And I can say it in Spanish because I work in a Spanish speaking country, and it is life. That's what it means to people who don't have potable water. End of speech.
They talked about this at the Public Works Committee too. You see where it says offer, and I know that Doug wrote this, but they said the same thing. You know, we can't promise to give everybody in the town water. Some people do not want public water. They want their well water. But I agree with you, Karen. There's a lot of people that would not say that they want public water because they have so much trouble getting it on their own. If Jim were here, he would say it. I'm sure he would have a lot to say about it, because I've heard him say it before, that we have areas that are just, it's not practical to offer the water where it's so high up in the elevations and they can't run it at the expense of the 3 residents that live there or whatever. I can't say it the way he says it. He's got the details, but I know that was the reason given for some of the parts of town where we don't have public water. And that's why they wrote that, or that's why Eric put in there in the referencing the town plans. Now, maybe our water plan needs to be relooked at. Maybe it needs to be updated to reconsider some of these things. I don't
Well,
know.
the one
I can't really say more because I'm not in a position to give you more information. I don't know it enough, but.
Well, the one thing that this plan isn't identifying, and that's I think we should keep in mind, is the fact that it's not saying how our residents would be receiving water. All of our residents are have an opportunity to have water, whether they want it from however they get it, whether they have it, you know, a water district or whatever. So it's not like we don't have potable water for our residents. It's just that the means of delivery of this water is different. Some people won't be able to have, you know, a water access directly from, you know, a district, but we have opportunities for other ways of getting this water to them. So we are offering water. We're not offering it. It's there and it's available to them, but only in a different way, you know, of supplying it.
Yeah, it just really depends on where you live.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the other thing is too, is the cost factor, and I realize where Karen's coming from, but it'd be tens of millions of dollars to install it within the township, and also it'd probably run into the same situation we're running into now with the sewer for Cheshire or for Grandview or other places. Once the people find out in that district what it's going to cost them, they're not in favor of it anymore.
That's right. So those conditions will be consistent for very, very many years until we figure how to be able to give water and sewer to everybody in the town that wants it at some kind of a reasonable cost, or maybe, you know, through grants or something.
Just a thought. What would the legality of requiring that a proposed site plan also show that they have a well drilled that's acceptably potable before we approve a building permit? I mean, we inspect septic systems. Maybe we should add that requirement that they also show that they've got sufficient potable water.
Well, there are ways we live with a well, and we actually are in a water district, and we choose not to hook up to the water, and we're still paying a lot, but we have a lot of water, we have pressure, we have good water. But what we do have is a filter system. So any kind of water that, you know, you get out of a well, you can manipulate, if you will, to have, you know, a drinkable water, you know, and to have a safe water supply. So I don't know if you want to make sure that that's in there, but I wouldn't think that a homeowner would, you know, be moving forward with anything where they couldn't get water. If you can't get water, then, you know, and that's the only option for you, then I don't think you'd build a house there. But if your water isn't exactly, you know, then you have options.
Tom, can I ask a question? I mean, if they are required to have an on-site sanitary system, then wouldn't by default they have to have a water source?
Maybe they're just planning on trucking it.
Yeah, that's an option.
And I suppose that's up to them.
I thought if you were applying for a mortgage, you have to have potable water. You have to prove that you have potable water.
How about folks that are living off the grid and don't have a mortgage?
Oh, wow.
Well,
when you're building a house, you have to show your plans and they have to conform to building code. But you don't often know until you buy that property whether you're going to get. I mean, I can tell you, I have friends now who are trying to put in a hobby farm off Monk's Road, and we know how bad the water can be up there. And they have spent $20,000 trying to get potable water for their llamas. I think it's llamas, alpacas. So you don't. I mean, we've purchased property all the time, and that's a gamble. You don't know whether you're going to go 500 feet, or you're going to have to frack, or you're going to. It's it's a gamble, and I don't know. It'd be nice to provide everybody with water. It's just not economically feasible. And to say that you can't buy it unless you have potable water, I mean, that's something you can do, but realize that the way it works right now is sort of buyer beware. If there's no well on the property and no water, it's a gamble. We've bought 2 other pieces of property in the middle of nowhere, and luckily we found water. If we didn't, we would have to truck it in. So it's sort of a situation when you buy these properties, these are your options. This is what could happen. And a good real estate agent will tell you that. To go past that, I'm not saying I'm opposed to it in theory. I would love to give everybody potable water. It's always a question for governments, especially here. How much can we pay? And as you know, with water districts, the people have to be willing to do it and pay for it. So those are all balancing things that we always have to go through. You can include them in another water district, of course, which we're doing, on the Kramer Road project. That's a situation where we were able to take advantage of, having new water lines. And so by saying provide public water, you're committing, as I agree, you're committing town resources that we can't approve ahead of time and say we're going to do this. So that, for me, is the only, reason. If you're living in a place that has public water, of course, it should be safe. And, that's Department of Health. We're testing water all the time. So I think it's just a matter of wording, maybe something like we recognize everyone, should have clean drinking water. I don't know, but we can't promise ahead of time that we're going to do this.
And I do understand that. My objection to the sentence is limit the expansion in the areas of the town where increased growth is not encouraged. So in my mind, and I think it's what it means, if you're not going to live in a development, you're not entitled to potable water, and that's really not the expression. Many wells, and I've had well water, and I prefer well water. It tastes better, but
maybe it's poorly
there
worded.
has to be a way where we can help people find a safe water supply. That's what I'm saying.
So I think Karen and Kathy, I hear and agree with both of you. I think it's the way it's written, the way it was intended, and the way it's perceived. Maybe there's some muddy water in there. Sorry.
No pun intended.
But I understand why it was written, because, and Joyce will too.
And I do too.
We don't mean, we don't want you to live anywhere where it's rural and beautiful. We just don't want a bunch of housing developments up on Smith Road. Because that's where we're trying to preserve forest and the rural character of our town, blah, blah, blah. I know everybody in this Zoom understands that, but I do hear you. It does sound, not, I don't know. It's hard to get all of those messages out in one sentence.
Maybe it could just be through the town's various committees and open space plans. Certain areas of the town have been identified as open spaces, or agriculturally valuable, or and maybe just put it away that water is public water.
So I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, I don't have the right words, so I'll shut up.
And those are the right words, but they are in those sections. So in the agricultural section, we say that, and in the natural resource section, it says that. So I guess we kind of have to remember this goal is just focusing on the infrastructure where we have it and where we plan to have it, and how it's done. So I don't know, do we need to re-say that? Because it already says that in all those other areas. So this one is just saying that information aside, here's, here's the goal. I don't know.
I think in the narrative, it explains it exactly what we're trying to get at here. I don't think we need to reinvent already what the comp plan update has done with the narrative regarding this issue. But if we want to reread that, maybe, and see if there's any opportunities for change, fine. But I think we're getting, into something that's already been actualized in the narrative itself. It's only a draft narrative, of course, but it's in there.
Yeah, these are like the little subset paragraphs.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I mean, you're right. I mean, if someone just came to this one goal and just read this one paragraph, it would leave a lot to be desired. But I'm hoping that anyone who's reading it will understand that there's way more going on here than
Yeah,
just this goal.
exactly.
But I don't want it to come off that way to other people, Karen. So I get what you're saying. All right, I'm just going to make a note. And if you have specific suggestions for how we can change the wording without making it too long, and saying what we already say everywhere else, maybe we can put in a reference to it or something to those others. I don't know. I'm going to scroll down so you guys can take a look at the measurables while I write my note. So just go ahead and take a look. Just give me a sec. Okay. Okay. So did anyone have anything off the bat that they either took issue with or saw that was missing out of the measurables?
I'd say that if you go down to amount of municipal solid waste total and per capita, I think you'd want a multi-year comparison there. Somehow we've got to come to a baseline of how much, by year, because this is a 10-year program here that we're talking about. So we should be able to see multi-year comparisons for the data that we're seeking. And usually, as far as amount goes, I think it's all calculated by pounds, tons, actually. I guess amount is a good word. It kind of sounds funny there, but anyway, and same with the amount of recycled and upcycled material totals. You gotta start somewhere, and I know that in the reporting that they do for the transfer station, it's in tons.
Yeah. Caitlin has a lot of this information, and she's got more stats on this than we could ever put in here. But I agree,
Exactly.
It doesn't mean anything unless it shows a trend over time.
Yeah.
So I have a
you
note to put in there. I have a note just so that we make sure that when we collect the information that we do it over time so that we can see whatever change is happening.
Hey, just out of curiosity, has the town of Canandaigua ever condemned a property for ineffective septic system in Cheshire or Grandview?
Yes, in Cheshire. Yes.
Did it stick?
They condemned the Brown house years ago. And it was torn down.
How many others do we have that are non-functioning? Do we know?
I'm not sure, but since we have the septic law now, every 5 years they've got to be inspected, I think, isn't it every 5 years? But Chris Jensen would have that information.
That's just along the lake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Do we have any stats on failures along the lake as the result of these inspections, I wonder?
Yeah, Chris would have them.
Has it been positive or not?
I don't know, because I don't know what they are, but I can
Yeah.
ask him.
So Doug mentions here a residential response factor. I think he's getting to the Grandview and the Cheshire
Yeah.
dilemma of its lack of affordability, of sewer being a lack of affordability for those groups.
Yeah, I think he's talking about, like, we sent a letter to all the residents in the Grandview Park neighborhood asking, telling them what the estimated cost would be if
Yeah.
they created a sewer district there, and
Yeah.
asking them if they'd be interested, just like we did in Cheshire. And like 6 out of whatever 10 people or something, or I don't know, maybe it was 7. Anyway, it was like most of them. I'm sorry, I took all the stats, but I don't remember the numbers. But it was an obvious majority said no. Like 2
Okay,
people
so-
said they would be interested, and like 7 people said no.
Let's
So
try.
how is this a measurable is what I'm trying to say here.
I think he just wants to put it in there that, when the residents are going to have to pay for it, if they can't pay for it, that's important. And if they say so, like, we don't want this, we cannot afford this.
So what we're saying is making this measurable apply here is that at this time, Grandview and Cheshire are not affordable options for sewer because of the cost.
Because of the cost.
And if yes, the cost. And what we're trying to measure here is in 10 years or so, has the cost come down? Have we made any progress with Grandview and Cheshire? Have we gotten some grants? Have we, that's what I'm saying. This is like the baseline again. Okay, we're on plan with our sewer district master plan, but these two are at this time
they're on hold until external, until either outside funding can come into play, or the residents.
Exactly why we're having a problem with this, and then see in 10 years if we've gotten any farther with what we want to do.
And I think the kind of information we have is what we're going to get, and that is what he was referring to. So we have that for now, and I'm sure we're going to revisit this again.
Do we continue to look for grant options for these 2 communities? Because that's how Laura Lane got sewers.
Yeah, we look all the time. MRB looks for us on our behalf all the time, and Jug looks, and I look.
Yeah, okay.
So, I'm sure this will be revisited at least every year. But revisiting it might
perhaps that should be put in there as an option, pursue grant activities, grants. That's the only way they're going to get it.
Yeah, that's right.
Really.
Yeah.
In the next 10 years, I don't know what's going to happen after that.
Well, the other factor of this is the city of Canandaigua for Grandview. They certainly have, I think there's been some conversations. I don't know exactly what they were, but that is a partner in this. They have been, bringing this to our attention.
County too, yes.
And the sewer is right there on East Avenue, or East Street, I mean. There's some more avenues to explore, just not only grants, but cooperation with the city of Canandaigua.
Well, cost reduction opportunities is the way you could word that. Continue a search for cost reduction opportunities to provide sewers to these 2 areas.
Yep, sounds good.
Well, I know that's been pursued because I checked with the city and talked to them 3 years ago for Grandview, and could tie into the sewer line that's on Gorham Street. But at the same time, that area, unfortunately, is like bedrock all through it. So that's what it creates a lot of the cost up there.
Well, who knows? Maybe we'll have new technology in a few years. It's all possible.
If I could just, I think that what Doug was trying to say, and I guess we could ask him, that probably the easiest way, but just that we always have to consider residential response factor. These are examples of it, not that these are 2 things that we have to pursue, but as an example of cost and then seeking grants and stuff like that. That might have been what you said. I might have missed it.
I
but
think both. I think what you just said is also the truth too, is that we have to take into consideration that it just isn't feasible for some people.
that's immeasurable. Like if people can't afford it and they say no, then we wouldn't necessarily pursue. We wouldn't pursue it
Right.
unless there was a health reason.
And the other thing that you have to get on,
Go ahead, Gary.
The other thing you have to get on board is the county, because it's a county sewer plant or, system.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oksana?
There's here multiple partners that have to be included in order to make these two happen. That's for sure.
Well, our consolidated water districts, we all have an operation and maintenance fee every year. And that money supposedly goes into that water fund. And when a new water district wants to develop water in their area, part of that money is taken out of that fund.
Mm-hmm.
But because the sewer is owned by the county, we can't have something like that, can we? Like an operation and maintenance,
That was
where
part
some of the money
cost.
can be. Okay.
When we sent, well, I know that when we sent the letter to Grandview, there was two parts to the cost. One is I'm sorry, what is it, operation and maintenance or something?
Mm-hmm.
That was part of it, and then the other part is, the use. Like
So the county doesn't have. So the county doesn't have anything like that.
I don't know.
For each municipality, where we could get some money from them.
I mean, for this,
Not sure.
that's what it was. I mean, it just, the amount that it came out to per resident, or per household, I should say, it was just too much. I mean, all that was taken into account, but it's not very many people for building a whole new sewer system.
Okay.
I think they do, Oksana, but as I recall, so if the town were to move forward on something, then the county would budget it to go forward. So my understanding is yes, but I certainly can, that was my understanding from looking at the budget and from speaking to Bill Wright, Tim McElligott recently. So I can certainly clarify that. That might be a mistaken impression on my part.
Well, because like in Cheshire, I can't see that the people that live there now will ever be able to afford sewer. And yet I would imagine the cost would be going up every year instead of down, because there's no room in Cheshire to, add more residential.
I think as the water lines expand, it becomes less expensive, and sewer lines expand, it becomes less expensive to tie in. So like I said, with the new water project, and Gary, it's Kramer Road, or is it Johnson where we're running the new?
No, it's Kramer.
So I know Kramer Road is where the tanks are. So Kramer Road, we're running new water lines. So as those get laid, then those next areas, it becomes more affordable because they're not paying the whole cost. So in the way I would understand it is, as water got closer to those areas, the cost could come down. But
it's just
I don't think that's so.
Construction.
I don't think that's so. Having a new water district, which plugged into the, which connected to the County Road 32 one, believe me, it is not less expensive.
I don't mean less expensive for the cost, but maybe shared by more people. Cost isn't going to go down, right? It's only going to go up, but it might be more affordable is maybe what I'm saying. For more people, there are more people in the water district. That's how the expansion has happened thus far. As more people become part of it, it becomes more affordable, not cheap, not less expensive.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but anyway, one of the measurables that the last one that Doug wrote here was sanitary law, inspections, system replacements. I guess he's indicating that that would be a measurable, and I guess he's saying, well, I don't know what he's trying to say about the sanitary law, but certainly if our inspections have gone up or however that is, and our system.
I think he's just talking about what we were mentioning a couple minutes ago. You know, our new law now requires inspections every so often, or when properties change hands, and that would be a good measurable to track. I'm not sure I mean, it's infrastructure, but it's private infrastructure, right? So
yeah,
I suppose it's just a measurable of
just a
protecting water
measurable
quality. I
of
don't know.
multi-year inspections of a system, how many system replacements were actuated during any particular year, or is that, I guess that's what he's getting at.
I'll ask him.
Okay.
I mean, we are tracking that information anyway, so we have it. We just have to
Mhm.
decide how we want to use it, you know?
Yeah, right.
It's not public infrastructure, but it's still important. It'll affect the water quality.
Okay.
Well, George Martin's got a lot of information on that because I've been in his office several times and I don't know who the fellow is that took his place. And they inspect and keep in the watershed anyways, the system's up to date.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that information is available.
Yeah. Are we ready to move to the action steps?
Yep.
I don't think I can get it all on one, almost all on one. That's as close as I can get. Okay. I got to go back to my first page of notes because I wrote down what the Public Works Committee said about some of these. But as usual, as we usually do this, is there anything that anyone wanted to jump in with first? As far as the action steps go.
Well, the first one, are we going to just go down the line here or what?
Well, I didn't know if anyone had a comment from reading through before on your own that you wanted to share.
Well, I have a couple of questions, but on, some of the other infrastructure items that we have here, action steps, but do you just want us to jump around or you want to go down? Well, the first one then, study the impact of extending infrastructure on farmland, open space and development within the town. And then I can't read his writing. I thought this was done something in the ag plan, I guess.
And the sewer plan.
And the sewer master plan. So
it's RE regarding ag plan and sewer plan.
So my question is, okay, that was the clarification that I needed. He's saying, let's get rid of this action step because it's already been done. It's already in the action and it's in the open space. Also, he doesn't. Yeah. That's just my question.
Because it's true. It has already been done and it will be done again when those plans are updated.
Okay, so the next one that I had was down, I don't know, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth one is explore partnerships with the City of Canandaigua for renewable energy options, such as community choice aggregation. Okay, so this I know that I did not know until I read this, that the LDC might be involved in that. But I'm wondering if that's already, and it looks like the LDC, according to his notes here, may already be involved in that. And that's just what I'm asking about. Are we already involved in that? Or is this something that we're going to want to pursue?
I think it's something that we're pursuing. I would have to check with Matt. We've talked about it, and I know we've talked about it for the town. I've spoken to Doug about it before, but it's always a possibility. I know the city's doing it now.
Yeah.
Some people are in favor of it, some aren't, but you can opt out. But
sure, you can opt out.
So the Public Works Committee talked about this too, and I don't have the notes that Eric wrote, but they decided to remove the partnership with the city part, but leave the rest in, that we do want to explore renewable energy options for town residents. such as community choice aggregation, because it can work really well. But they said they wanted to leave it in, but that, it's not something that we would want to jump into. It takes a lot of research and a lot of information, because Kathy, you're exactly right. There's a lot of people who don't like it because you automatically get thrown into it and you have to opt out, and there are associated fees and stuff like that. So they agreed that the renewable energy part is really good to leave in, but they didn't want to limit anything by saying that it's a partnership with anybody. Not that it couldn't be a partnership, but that it may not be.
You could do partnerships with other municipalities. So
yeah. So they wanted to leave it in. They just wanted to change the wording a little bit.
Yeah, that seems fine.
And on the next one, since we're down here talking about that stuff,
Yeah.
Doug did draw an X in that, but they didn't. There was just a little bit of discussion. The climate smart community thing is that several years ago, I think it was 2016, the town board passed a resolution that was a pledge to work towards becoming a climate smart community. But the climate smart community program has changed a little bit since then. It's now kind of sort of becoming more a part of the clean energy community program, which the town is an active participant. So I can't remember what they said exactly about this. Not that I don't think they said they wanted to remove it, but just that, maybe it needs to be reworded a little bit.
Yeah, I had a question mark on this one too, because I remember the same thing, that the town board did pass a resolution regarding, I think it's called SMART. I don't think it was called Climate Smart Community at the time.
It was, but
it was just okay. So if we already have it, then why did we need this?
I think that's what,
if we're
like, my
already a
notes.
climate community, then what? Now what? Just
It's really just about opening up opportunities for funding for renewable energy and programs that the town can look into if we achieve a level of the clean energy communities program. So I think what we were talking about is that maybe it needs to be reworded to incorporate the larger programming, not just the climate smart community, because with NYSERDA, the clean energy community program is the one that has more grant money associated with it. They're related. And
right.
I mean, they're just, it's changed since then.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly what it was in that resolution, and that was several years ago. So
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Well, I know I was there when that all happened, but anyway, it says take action to become. I guess what I'm trying to say here is we want to take action to incorporate the climate smart community action steps in our town, because there's a lot of good things. This smart community, climate smart community thing is also mentioned in the open space master plan. So there is a real progression, I think, for our town moving into these kinds of actions that will enable climate smart community.
yeah, and for the town level, it's things like replacing incandescent bulbs with LED bulbs,
Yes,
and stuff
yes.
like that, and light fixtures, or looking at street lighting, or looking at for example, hybrid vehicles.
Yeah.
The town is purchasing a hybrid vehicle this summer. So,
well, there's a whole range, and it also includes environmental issues, tree canopies, those kinds of things, street trees, and it's pretty broad in the environmental issues that it tackles. So I would, hope that we would be taking a look at it's in its wholeness, instead of just not the light bulb issue, but the whole effect of climate change on the environment in the town.
I think that's a given.
It talks about trees. If you go down a couple of thing, it says protect trees and incorporate them into stormwater infrastructure. And then a couple of down, it says create a stormwater master plan for the future for catastrophic draining event. Well, these are all environmental things that have something to do with climate change. There's a whole section in our open space master plan which talks about these issues and how the environmental precautions that we take will help us to weather climate change.
That's a good segue into the next one. The Public Works Committee talked about the action item that talks about trees as it pertains to stormwater. And so what they decided to do is that since this goal was focusing on infrastructure, they wanted to beef up the stormwater one, or maybe not beef up, but maybe reward it. Sorry, I can't see it. It's behind my laptop. Not just create a stormwater master plan to plan for catastrophic, but a stormwater master plan that looks at everything, not just planning for the catastrophic events, but looking at everything that goes into managing stormwater, including, root systems of trees and how removing them would affect that and everything. So they actually kind of decided to remove the one for trees, since that protecting trees themselves for the sake of trees is in our natural resources section, and that the stormwater action item just needed to be reworded to include everything that has to do with stormwater and what will go into a stormwater master plan. So that's what Chuck and Eric were talking about in that, and Jim also too. So, and I thought that made sense. I didn't want to get rid of trees anywhere, but I thought it did fit better in the natural resources section. So I agree with that too.
Okay, you touched on the ones I had questions about, so I'm good.
Just real quick, they mentioned the dedication one. They didn't like the wording of that because it sounded a little off-putting from the developer's standpoint, that that they would turn in a plan that was approved and then it sounded like they just didn't like the way it came across. They said, so we just need to make sure that it's in the plans from the get-go. They mentioned that there was an issue with St. James Parkway, the way it was designed, and they sent them back and made them fix it because they wouldn't have accepted dedication if that had gone through with it the way they had designed it. So,
I think that's a given. I think that's
right.
part of God.
And,
So
I think it was just the way this one was written. They said that's not really how we do it. So it happens way earlier in the process.
So you're saying to eliminate that?
I don't think they were gonna. I can't remember if they were gonna eliminate it or just reword it so that it was more. And it was Greg Hotelling from MRB because he's involved with that stuff. But they were gonna change something with it. But so if you had a concern about that one, all I was saying is they're gonna fix it.
Okay.
I know we skipped down. Was there anything that anyone had a question on with some of these other ones in here? Water and sewer master plans. This one kind of goes along with that, the Ag Committee. No? Okay, so these last ones down here at the bottom. We talked about the stormwater master plan. Does anyone have any comments on any of these others? No?
On high-speed internet, with our franchise fee arrangement, is there any leverage that we can use to get more high-speed internet to the more rural areas?
I don't know. That's with Spectrum, right? You're talking about our
whoever it is.
I think. So just as a reminder, these action items came out of the community meetings. But as far as we're concerned, I know I've heard Doug talk about it and a couple of the town board members talk about it, that it's just high-speed internet is so important, and we just need to look at ways, not just with Spectrum, but beyond them.
Yes, because we have the optic ring around the county, and I've always wondered why we aren't planning to access that. I don't know what all the technology that we would need. I haven't heard us talking about that optic ring. I mean, it's out there. How do we access it?
Well, again, I would think that we'd lean on whoever's got the franchise
Access.
to spend the money. I'm sure that suggestion came from Ryan because he keeps whining about access out in the sticks.
Well, and I
And
just moved to the sticks, and I have fiber optic internet at my house, and
well,
I don't know
that's
how it got there, but it is amazingly
that's
fast.
good.
And
Yeah.
it's not just the sticks, Tom, it's or everybody. It's
Yes, right.
we don't have high-speed internet here on Laura Lane. We have, and we live right next to a large development, and fiber optic has not gone down Middle Cheshire Road. It's gone down Route 21. So it seems to me that we should be concentrating on first of all, on the highly residential areas, because that's where most of the children and the people who are working from home, and God knows how long this is going to happen. And in some cases, it's going to be a forever thing. The way our workforce is going to change significantly
Mhm.
because of the ability to work from home.
Well, again,
We
the town should be leaning on whoever this internet provider is.
Exactly.
Because they get a hell of a lot of money in fees.
Because
Yep.
there's more than one. I think there's
Yeah, there is.
several.
Yeah.
different
Well, there's
internet
Empire
providers.
Access and there's Spectrum
Yeah.
There's another
are the
one,
two
though.
key ones. Yeah, there's that green light or something in the Rochester
Yeah,
area.
because one of
I
the
don't think it's here yet.
one
Yeah.
of the residents right here near town hall was talking to us about it. Right, Kathy? I think that you. And there was they mentioned a couple of them, so I know there's several, but they're not all the same as far as pricing and
Yeah.
how they run it.
I can tell you that if this comes up, I get calls all the time about this, so I'm always looking into it. Right now, it's cost prohibitive, but the state and their budget, I believe it's for the 2021 budget, the governor has committed that there be low cost internet, high-speed internet available to all students and as part of his budget. So it's going to require some changes. The providers say the tax on it is way too high. So I agree that we have to keep looking at it. And every time I do, I hit a brick wall, but I'm only one person and a lot of people are working on it. So
Yeah.
But when we grant franchises, don't we have some kind of leverage?
we do. But they say that their fees are too high and they pass along the cost. That person that's on
Yeah.
5 and 20 across from town hall, I think to run the line was some crazy thing like, was it $25,000, Sarah?
I don't remember, but it was really expensive. Like they
Yeah.
were going to have to pay to run it to their house. They were going to have to pay the entire installation fee. And
Right.
then once they got it,
Like
the
a water
cost per
district.
month seemed kind of high too, if I remember right. And
So
I mean, as a parent of two kids, one who goes to school remotely 3 days a week, so I'm at home with her 3 days a week. If we didn't have high-speed internet,
The thing is,
don't know what we would do.
we don't even get what they advertise.
Yeah, it's true. At least
Honestly.
here.
You know, I pay an arm and a leg for Spectrum TV and internet, and I don't even get what they advertise for the internet speed.
Yeah, I as a longtime consumer of cable internet, I can tell you that switching to fiber optic internet was I didn't even know what I was missing.
The other
It's
thing, the other
amazing.
technologies that are coming along are hotspots. So,
Yeah,
that's another tech that I don't know how the town could participate
I
in
don't know.
providing
So the
that
schools
kind of
are doing
service.
that. The schools, some of the schools in our area are helping students who live in a house where they don't have adequate or reliable high-speed internet. They're providing them with hotspots through, I guess it's with the cell phone companies. I don't really know
Yep.
how they're doing it. And I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's just, but it would be, I guess, we're getting off topic. It's passionate for some of us, but what we need to make sure is that it's in there as an action item that the town is looking into
Yes.
to try and find, explore, however we want to look at it, to get our residents connected. or help them or make it so that there's options for them to be
Maybe we
connected.
can, even partner with the school for hotspot development, in the town and, for our rural residents.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
I
don't
think
know. I
that
don't
kind
know
of falls,
how
I mean,
that
I think,
works, but
okay, so my question is, the way it's written, do you think it's kind of an umbrella statement enough to include that kind of stuff? I mean, I think you
yeah, I
guys
do.
can hear that, our town board's interested in it, Doug's interested in it, we know the
Yeah.
residents want it. We are very aware that it's a problem, and we know, and I hear Doug talking about it all the time, so I know we're talking about it. It's not getting forgotten.
Yeah.
Well, I think we are past the time to identify methods. I think that should be taken out, because I think we have identified several ways of providing high-speed internet. And right now we should be working on providing high-speed internet, not identify methods.
But it's always changing.
Yeah,
Well,
just like hotspot. That's a technology. I think instead of methods, I think technology might be the forward-looking term here, because hotspot is a technology, is a new technology that could provide this kinds of stuff instead of having, something connected through cable or even, whatever, like Frontier.
Well, hotspots are not new technology. They've been around for quite a while, but
as far as their
I think you could say, work with Ontario County Internet Service Providers to use identified techniques to proliferate high-speed internets, not identify them where they've already been identified for years.
Yeah, but which ones will work? I guess that's my. But
Well,
that's,
Instead of
Sarah knows-
identify, implement instead of
Implement,
identify.
that's good, Tom.
Yeah.
yes.
Well, as Sarah knows, the Ag Committee, that's one of the big needs for the agriculture community too.
Yeah. Yeah. Do any of the egg farms that Jerry, do they use hotspot, anything like that?
I can't answer. No.
I don't know, but for a lot of them, the high-tech ones, they just use satellite.
Oh,
They use GPS stuff
Yeah,
in their
yeah,
tractors and in their
Yeah.
combines.
yeah.
They didn't wait for internet. They just went beyond it. And
Yeah.
they have programs that control their machinery for them. Like, it turns on its own. It grids out the whole field, and it uses GPS to control it.
Amazing. Just
cuts down on
amazing.
farm
It even
labor.
it uses prior year's data on drought and production levels in different parts of the field, so that they don't apply the same rate of fertilizer over the entire field. They
Yeah.
only apply it where it has shown in the past to need it, which I was really impressed with as someone who doesn't like the idea of spraying unnecessarily.
Yeah.
But yeah, but they do complain, internet, they have everything they need on the fields, but yeah, back in their offices, at their homes, on their farms, when they don't have internet, that makes it hard to do business. But anyway, I think we've talked about this one enough. I think we're all in agreement. I wrote down what you guys said, Tom and Karen, and about rewording it a little bit to put an emphasis on implementation. So
Sarah,
yes. Yeah.
off topic. Is there anything the town can do to get cell phone service in Cheshire that actually works?
It doesn't work at my house.
Oh, it doesn't? Oh.
No, so I talked to, when we moved out to our house, we called Verizon from not at home and said, our phones don't work. What are you going to do? And they said, okay, well, we'll mail you this thing. Do you have internet? And we said, yeah, it's really good. We'll mail you this thing. You hook it into your modem and your phones will work. And they did, and it works. But again, yeah.
And I live on Laura Lane, and I don't have phone service at my house. And
Or
I
good
also,
internet, right?
I'm on, my phone operates on the internet.
Yeah. Oksana, to answer your question, I don't know. I guess it has to do with towers, right?
Must be.
do you think, I mean, are you guys saying we need something in here that talks about cell service in addition to high-speed internet?
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
It sounds
I
like, I
mean,
didn't know that was an issue with, but I do know about Cheshire. You can't get
Oh,
a.
yeah, there's a lot of dead spots in town with cell service. I have Verizon, so I can only speak for that, but yeah, it disappears in Cheshire.
Yeah, it really
well,
does.
and you know what? It's dangerous. You know, if we are at our property on Dual Road, if there was a fire, we couldn't call the Cheshire Fire Department, or if somebody got hurt, which that happened at one time. My nephew, you know, cut his toe off with a lawnmower, and yeah, and so it's really dangerous not to have phone service.
Yeah.
Could you have a landline instead there?
Hmm.
I mean, so many people have got reliant on cell phones and they've dropped their landlines, but
Yeah,
there
true.
landline is an availability where you don't have
I
cell.
don't know.
If you have a pole. I mean, yeah, for some of the rural areas, you'd have to put them in. But what if we added cell service in the same action step that talks about high-speed internet? Or should it be
Yeah,
separate?
it's a kind of technology, sure.
Yeah. Here comes the snow.
Yeah, I see it.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty. Big flakes.
Tom, we still have a landline here at our house because we lose power all the time on Westlake Road.
Yeah, we've got a landline too, but that's old fashioned for us old farts.
Yeah.
know how to use it. It's simple.
Right.
Okay. I have to wrap it up. I have to.
What are we
finish the
going to do
agenda.
next week?
So let's see.
Transportation is next.
I thought we already did that one.
Did we?
The last
Yeah,
one,
we did.
we've been
Well,
going
we
in
did.
order. The last one is town operations.
Oh, town operations. Oh, here it is. Okay.
So we're working on logistics with the Middle Cheshire Road study. We've gotten an extension. And so we're replanning that public meeting. I don't have it nailed down yet. So since we only have that one goal left to talk about, maybe we should just move on to town operations next Tuesday. And hopefully by next Tuesday, I'll have a date for the public meeting. Because I think you guys all got my email, hopefully, that said it's not going to be this Wednesday. We didn't ever push it out to the public because of everything with trying to get the extension. So hopefully by next week, I'll have that date figured out with them. It could end up being next week or the week after, but yeah, so let's just do town operations and then I'll get back to you on the other one.
Okay, I have
Go ahead.
I have a
Go
really
ahead, Karen.
dumb request. There are all sorts of acronyms used in municipal.
Yes, I have a list.
Does anyone have a list they could share?
Yep, I made one for Gary a couple years ago.
I guess the water's bad on Laura Lane, Gary.
No, I agree. You know, and the only reason I know about them is because I've been using them for 6 years. So,
well, there's a list of acronyms, you know, in the beginning of the visions here that we could just amplify. I think that's what.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's not inclusive. I mean, mine is like a 2-page Excel document with lots of them.
I would love it. I would love it. It
includes the ones from like the state and stuff that we tend to use a lot too. So
Yeah.
The state one is different. I have the state one and I have the county one, but I'm coming across some acronyms in here that I don't have on my list.
There's probably some we've just made up, you know, so
probably.
I'll share it with you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Do with it what you want. And then
Sarah, the
maybe,
town,
I was just gonna say, maybe we can incorporate it into this if we want a larger one, but I mean, in the comp plan, or just finish or fill out the one that he had, but at any rate, yes, I'll share it. Go ahead, Oksana.
the meeting on Friday, is the time 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock?
9. We haven't put the
9.
agenda out yet, but it'll go out today. That's why I
Okay,
have to go, because I have to go finish making it.
This is
Okay.
the parks, the meeting
Yeah.
about the new parks.
Well, the town board
Yes.
meeting on Friday morning,
Did you, and you said 9?
8.
I was thinking it was 8, Sarah.
It's 8.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's on the town calendar, and the agenda will have the link and everything when it goes
Okay.
out.
all right.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
think when it was first scheduled,
Yeah,
it went back and forth with time, because I had 9 o'clock a couple
It
weeks
was
ago
9
written
o'clock.
somewhere too, but
Yeah.
it's 8.
So Sarah, where do we stand with economic development and tourism?
Eric was going to incorporate all the comments that we got at those meetings and give it back. I mean, we're going to have to revisit it, but I don't have that
Okay.
yet.
All right. Just wanted to know.
Yeah, I mean, if we do town operations, that means we've had a meeting for each goal, but it doesn't mean we're done.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the town operations, the next page, it's all crossed out by Doug.
Exactly.
But this was, so Doug and Eric,
The measurables.
Doug
Yeah.
and Eric met about that topic after Doug made these comments. And so
Uh-huh.
we'll make sure that Doug can come to the one next week. If he can't, then we're going to have to talk about something else, because, or at least
Yeah.
maybe he can provide me with some information, because they talked about that. So,
Okay.
but
All righty. Thanks.
you're welcome. Well, with that, I think we'll go ahead and go. I gotta get this agenda finished so that I can send it out to everybody.
Okay.
And
Right.
I will send an email before next week, by Friday, with the acronyms, and then if I have any updates about next Tuesday. But unless you hear otherwise, that's what we'll talk about.
Thank
Right.
you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Bye.
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 I,